Ladies and gentlemen, we come to you from perhaps watching one of the most shocking endings of an NFL game we have seen in quite some time. And as many of us have probably paraphrased this exact statement on the internet somewhere, I think Zbot did specifically. Kevin might have said something along those lines too. Wow, we actually were on the winning side of the game of the damn year. All right. I reflect back in the Rams game last year. Nope. I think of 13 seconds. Nope. I think of the Minnesota Vikings. No. But the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens, we ultimately end up coming out on top in one of the craziest 4-minute spans I have seen in my entire life. Buffalo is now 1-0. Absolutely insane. Jake, what's going on? How you feeling?
Well, just got back from what was an amazing time at Highmark Stadium, Sunday Night Football. What a blast to kick off the season. Like I said last time we were on air, we've been waiting all day for Sunday night. We've been waiting longer for that Sunday night matchup, and it did not disappoint. Game of the year right off the bat. Buffalo Bills, what a comeback effort. And just seeing that all unfold in person, it was a wild thing. That's a game that's forever going to be ingrained in the minds of Bills Mafia because that was just a special comeback effort.
Dude, you know what? Like so many wild things occurred in that 4 minutes. And so I was thinking about it this way. Like everything that could have gone right for the Buffalo Bills went right. Everything. Even down right to that last second pass that left 1 second on the clock during halftime. Like that was also a wrinkle that a lot of us don't talk about, right? Like the missed extra point from the kicker. Everything had to go our way, and everything did. And everything that could go wrong for the Baltimore Ravens went wrong for the Baltimore Ravens, which was a piece of beauty. Zbot, what's going on, my friend?
Not only was that one of the greatest games, I mean, not only was that the game of the year already, week one, that was one of the greatest games of all time. It was one of the greatest regular season games of all time. You could probably make a solid argument that it was the greatest. I know everybody brings up the 2018 Rams-Chiefs game, iconic. This game is going to be sitting right beside that, and the Bills were on the winning end of it. The last home opener at the Ralph against a team that had all the animosity in the world fueling them going into that game, and you saw that really through the first 45 minutes, right? You really did see a team that felt as though they were motivated by external factors to go out and whip this other team who had ended their season, who had taken Lamar Jackson's MVP. And somehow the actual MVP finds a way to lead this team to victory at the end on the leg of 41-year-old Matt Prater, who enters the locker room of these Buffalo Bills just a couple of days ago. An iconic night. You said it, Dan. The amount of moments in this game that were just absolute chaos, I lost track. I was doing the post-game show last night, and Rico and I had to basically just sit and allow them to come back to us. We had to be reminded multiple times of different things, because if you do go back and watch the highlights or watch the game, you'll be reminded, one-handed DeAndre Hopkins catch. Lamar Jackson getting out of that sure sack to get the first down. Next play, Derrick Henry all the way to the end zone. The punt that touched the goal line. If they would have just let it sit, the Bills would have had to have start at the 1-yard line. The missed extra point, the numerous 2-point conversion failures, the fact they even went for 2 points, Dan. This game had everything. One of the greatest games of all time. And yes, the Bills were finally on the right side of it. 1-0. I can't believe we're talking about a victory today.
So for me, I was watching that game, and I knew for the vast majority of it, Buffalo was always at least a score and some change away. But for a while, it felt a lot worse. It felt a lot worse than what the box score was suggesting. It looked like Baltimore was able to do whatever they want. And even though at many points we were only 7 to 8 points away from tying it, as soon as when that offense just hit the field, I was like, okay, here we go again. But for some reason, a part of me, like when I was getting probably 50% of the Baltimore population of children, like right in my live chat with clown emojis and pointing at me, I kept saying, I was just like, dude, like I'm not throwing in the towel until the Ravens end up pulling away by 3 scores. That's only when I'm going to. I have to hold on hope. This team is good for at least a turnover a game statistically in 2024. We have a lot of those pieces on this team already. That's what we got to hope for. We absolutely had to get it, and we did. Kevin, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Yeah, it's another day in paradise, I guess, right? Finally a good paradise, I think.
I know.
Maybe some of
Truly
these
paradise.
Yeah, maybe some of these tides have turned of these games of yesteryear. The team just doesn't lose at home right now. I mean, they're on a crazy streak. They're on a pretty solid streak altogether. And look, they gave us something to cheer for. Even back to that Rams game, which didn't mean a whole lot. They still did not complete it. They didn't quite handle the end of the game right with timeouts. Everyone's arguing about should Josh have ran it, should he have not have. And it wasn't like the biggest game in the world, especially after most things were locked up and they weren't going to chase Kansas City at that point. They still came a little short of a really good comeback in that game. But you knew it was in him. At home especially, like, look, I know everyone wants to get home for work, and you're at the game, though. Like, you paid money, you're there. Like, let the clock literally be where you cannot statistically get the ball back. Like, whether, you're out of timeouts, then I think then analytically you can leave the game. But, Dan, we talk a lot about how things went right for the Bills. Things went right for the Ravens for a lot of the game, too. Like, look, Keon Coleman's 2-point conversion, even Sean McDermott just mentioned it an hour ago, should have counted. Like, that should have counted. Yeah. Like, that, they don't have clarity on why that wasn't DPI or reestablishing. If it wasn't DPI, then it means he can reestablish. So if it wasn't forced out, which would have been, what he would have called illegal contact or DPI, that he can reestablish because he went out on his own then, is what you're saying. So that, like, and he was in the pocket. Like, there's so many nuances to that went the Ravens' way. And there was times, like, Lamar gets out of the third or the big scramble. I mean, he's a really good player, but Falele did nothing on that play, as we talked about on the show earlier.
He was getting dominated.
He was getting dominated in this game. But they couldn't stop the Bills either. So, like, I know it felt like worse than it was. The Bills, they could do pretty much anything they want and kind of stumbled a little bit randomly, but they ended up getting 3 straight stops, guys. That's something they've never done before, like, ever, to a top flight quarterback, whether it's Burrow, Lamar, or Mahomes. So that's the biggest takeaway I have in the fourth quarter, how well that they played down the stretch when they didn't give up. Any team could give up there against Lamar Jackson, knowing Derrick Henry's there. They didn't give up. And three straight possessions, making them give you the ball back. I mean, that's the difference in a game right there. And that's a lot of points, opportunities for Josh to make things happen.
So a lot of heroes in this game, right? And I really think that it was a team win. And so a lot of guys stepped up and made the plays when we needed them to. Led, of course, by Josh Allen, scraping 400 yards in the air, well over 400 all purpose. But who are some names that you credit this win to on the offensive or defensive side of the football? I'm going to start off with Z-Bot on this one. Like, who stands out to you?
Oh, there's a lot here. There really is. And I hope we touch on all of them. But I have to give, if I can pick one outside of Josh Allen, I got to give it to Matt Prater in this game. Yeah. Because the one other thing that was insane about this game that I had forgotten about by the time we had gotten to the end of the game, where it was left up to Matt Prater's leg to win it, I had forgotten the Bills getting a second put back on the clock before half to allow him to come out and nail a deep field goal to make what felt like a 3-score game a 1-touchdown game. So he runs out there, nails that field goal, nails every extra point, and then in a fire drill field goal to win it, he executes it perfectly. They snap that ball, so there's not a second left on the clock, and he puts it in right between the hands of Kyle Hamilton. If that kick is kicked an inch lower, an inch to the right, really any other way than the way it was kicked, it would have been blocked. We would have lost in the most heartbreaking fashion. We would have gone from thinking this was a surefire loss to all of a sudden this is a surefire win, to having your heart ripped out like it was in the 13-second game in a very similar fashion, where you think you're going to lose, all of a sudden you're going to win. Oh my God, you're going to lose again. This guy wasn't on the team a week ago. This is a guy who first started his career back in 2007. He had told the media that he was coaching his kids' team when the Bills called him. He steps up and comes out in that environment on Sunday Night Football in a game that I think we're going to look back on 3 months from now and say the leg of Matt Prater might be why the Buffalo Bills have the 1 seed right now. This is a guy that wasn't on the team a couple of days ago. You got to fill in for Tyler Bass, a drafted kicker who's supposed to be the guy, right? Gets a second contract. He was really good for Buffalo last year in a spot where people were worried he wouldn't be. I couldn't have been more impressed by a guy that maybe half the team right now doesn't even fully know. I forgot who it was who said when Matt Prater walked in the room, they thought he was a special teams coach until they were informed that it was actually the new kicker. So shout out to Matt Prater for doing everything he had to, including kicking the game winner to get it done for Buffalo.
Dude, you know what? It almost makes me wonder if this is the last that we see of Bass in 2025. And so I almost wonder if they just let him chill on the IR for the rest of the year, especially if for like the next like 4 games, like we continue to see this consistency from him. Might as well. And funny enough, even after he hit that halftime like kick, like that normal sense of anxiety I had, even throughout last year when Bass finally got past his yips, I feel like I would have been way more of a nervous wreck, say that Bass was trotting out there for the game-winning field goal for some odd reason. But boys, I'm not sure about you, but the second that we ended up getting that fumble recovery, I just felt it. I felt it, and I just knew that we were winning that game. Hence why my player is Ed Oliver. Like, talk about a damn performance from this guy. Channeling his inner Aaron Donald, for the love of God. We've seen this before, right? Where like he flashed and like bursts, and then for a little bit, you know, like a couple of games here and there. I really hope that he can continue this all season long, because what he was able to do, whether or not that it had to do with the matchup, he was an athletic freak. He did well. He was really the game changer on this defense. He was the momentum shifter. All of the flowers in the world to Ed Oliver. Kev, thoughts, man? Standout player. Who do you credit in this game?
You guys got 2 good ones. Obviously, Ed Oliver is easy to point to on this. I mean, he was an all-world performer. I mean, really what you were hoping for from day one from him, and those are the kind of performance. He's underpaid. If he's drastically underpaid right now in the market, if that's the way we're going to get from even every other game. He's extremely valuable to this organization. And I only think the sky's up for the D-line, who played pretty well. For the most part, the D-line was pretty good. Joey Bosa, a few contains. He's not quite used to the level of Lamar, I don't think, in these type of games, but then figured it out and was pretty solid himself. Had a sack turned around from a pretty bad call in Dorian Strong, who was also really good. Dorian Strong did not allow any completions that he was credited for, and was chased him down and stopped the touchdown. He was really competitive for a first starter in that kind of atmosphere. He wasn't starting off against some at the end of the year in some meaningless game. I mean, that's money. But mine's got to go to Keon Coleman. Look, we were talking about receiver all offseason. We're calling in shows. You know, we have people questioning the GM, what he's doing at the position. And then it comes down to they had the receiver they wanted. Josh Allen, I've stated this many times when I'm live. Josh Allen handpicked him. Like, it's his responsibility to say, whether it's true or not, we don't really know. But he still will go on record saying this was the receiver he wanted in the draft based on where they were picking. And obviously this is the type of receiver they were missing. He proved it. I mean, he was going to him early and often. He was going to him in the red zone. He was going to them on the 2-point try. You have Josh Allen, and Josh Allen still chooses to go to Keon Coleman. That shows you like what he believes of this receiver. And in my opinion, both of those 2-pointers could have been caught. I mean, his shoulder pad was out of it. Like, I don't know how one of those is not called. It's extremely disappointing, but ultimately they trust Keon Coleman, made huge plays all day. On the tip deflection, guys, like, look, even Khalil Shakir let the tip go. He thought it was over. And you have Keon Coleman tracking the ball and diving for it like a DB almost, and a DB drill, really. And I mean, that's elite level recognition. I mean, those are the things that will make you be a good football player. I know that's random, but ultimately the compilation of what he was able to do throughout the day, and making a huge play. What a great slant route he ran. And ultimately basically cooked Jair Alexander. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah.
But absolutely torched him on the route and then torched him after with his yak. And basically just got tripped up, which I guess ended up being a good thing. In theory, you wouldn't have given the ball back to Lamar. I mean, he was going to score. So, that's a debate whether how that would have gone. He would have been up 5, but they would have had 30 seconds and 3 timeouts. Not a gimme. You know, field goal is one thing, and that's not a gimme. So, guys, it's got to go to Keon Coleman. But Matt Prater, to Z-Bot's point, coming off the bus, not knowing anybody. Those fire drills are not easy. I promise you. You led to a Deion Walker miss on the assignment. That is not an easy assignment. That is not something you want to overly do. Even a false start, Z-Bot, a false start there ends the game.
Right.
So, I mean, it is under 10 seconds, especially. it is extremely risky to do it that way. That's how much they respected Lamar Jackson. And that's what led to a little bit easier of a look by Kyle Hamilton. But still, Prater's ball is so nice. Like the way he kicks it down the uprights, it's a harder ball to block than Tyler Bass, who tries to get height and distance as a former kicker that has a lower trajectory and then it goes high. And that's why he goes over the goalposts. But the way Prater kicks it with such precision, it was reason it didn't get blocked was because of the way he kicked the ball. It wasn't because he missed it, but those things really matter at the professional level. And you saw it from Matt Prater. I mean, you got to select someone, even though he didn't hit a 70-yarder, you got to select someone like that. That is an extremely hard assignment, even from 30 something yard, whatever it was. That is extremely hard because one wrong thing there ends the game.
God, could you imagine? Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
False start ending the game. How about that?
False start ending the game, man. Like that would have been like the most.
That's like right there with the Denver thing, right? Right. Remember Denver? That's where it is. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
At least with Denver, you expect him to make a 38-yard field goal or whatever it was. So whatever.
Yeah.
But there to false start. I mean, those are the things or a bad like any of those things that could end the game on a penalty. Even a penalty, it's standard stupid penalty. I mean, ends the game. I mean,
dude. Holy hell. All right, Jake. Talk to us, man. Who do you credit this win to? Who was the name that stood out to you?
Well, I think you guys touched on the three biggest pieces outside of Josh Allen. Obviously, Prater with the kicks. Prater was perfection out there, especially for someone who's so fresh into the locker room, just coming in. He was signed last week, so very quick turnaround for him. 41 years of age, and hey, great response from Prater out there. Keon Coleman, obviously, he was a dog out there last night. I mean, he started off a little rough. He had a drop, and he responded. That's what I'd like to see. The way that he responded, we saw a lot about his physical transformation over the offseason and how much work he put in, and I think that it was showcased out there on the field against what's a pretty solid secondary in the Baltimore Ravens. Ed Oliver, dude was a beast, a disruptor all night. So I'm going to just highlight someone else here. The Bills had 9 players catch a pass last night. And I'm going to highlight Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid, I thought he had a solid night, a solid response, especially the way that last season went for him. He did not live up to the standard that was set out for him. As a former first-round pick, this is someone who has really high potential, and he's got to live up to that. Last year, we know how it all ended in Kansas City, that fourth down play, Dalton Kincaid unable to come up with a grab. Last night starts off with a touchdown reception. Anytime touchdown score bet hit, I had him for over 3.5 receptions as well. So he was getting involved, 4 receptions, 48 yards, touchdown. I like to see that kind of involvement from Dalton Kincaid and hoping to see more of that moving forward.
And so how about that piss missile to Jackson Hawes, right? Like that guy probably has caught like less than like 12 passes from Josh Allen in practice. Like
his
that
film is ridiculous, Dan.
Like that was a risk. Like that was a risk right there. Rookie tight end 3, right? Like you can imagine he didn't get a lot of reps during training camp with the first team. I'm sure he did, but not nearly as much as Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. Like they probably had to draw that play up going into it. They probably had that in the holster and they were planning on like leveraging that exact play call at one moment. But like Hawes, really insane. Like I think the biggest question for me is 4th and 3 for Baltimore, right? We just heard that Lamar said that he would have tried to fight Harbaugh more if he didn't have cramps. And why are the Ravens fan base not eviscerating him for that? Like that's in the same breath to me when Anthony Richardson said he was too tired last year and people were just giving him shit all over the place. Like, is anyone here convinced that Baltimore wouldn't have gotten that 4th and 3 if they did? Like them punting there, completely wild. Like you could sit here and shit on the Buffalo Bills defense all night. And you know what? Maybe they deserve it to a degree. But folks, the quote unquote best defense on paper in the NFL also gave up 41 points last night. All right. So if you're going to sit here and be like, oh, let's talk about this defense, let's talk about the best defense in the NFL giving up 41 points as well, because Buffalo is doing whatever they could. But theory on 4th and 3, Is this just a Harbaugh thing? Also, with his clock management, like, wouldn't y'all have thought that maybe he would have waited for the timeout, like on that last knee or something? Or like, okay, whatever. Kevin, thoughts, 4th and 3.
It's a toughie. I mean, Harbaugh answered this just a few hours ago, basically stating
Yeah.
he has the best defense in the league and they're going to win more often than they're not. I mean, look, Lamar Jackson just got pummeled, right? He didn't have cramps. Did you see the play? He got absolutely annihilated.
Yeah, he got rocked by Ed Oliver. Right?
Absolutely rocked. So I have to imagine he's defending his quarterback in a point of like he's going to need at least 5 minutes to like kind of get his stuff going. Like you lose part of your offense there. I mean, it's risky because it's a unique scenario to where I know Sean McDermott would get ridiculed either way. Everybody's going to play the results. If that's Josh Allen there and you don't get it and you run some stupid play that we would probably say stupid, you lose the game. Like you lose the game. So that's the one thing about that 4th and 3, like the way the game was, you weren't converting. You had just got stopped back to back. Maybe Derrick Henry was finally running out of the little gas. They were running Zay Flowers end arounds instead. Like, I don't know, man. Like I was kind of rooting for him to go for it because I was like, you know what? Ultimately, let's put the game in the hands of one final play. If we get it, we win. If they get it, they win. So I was kind of rooting for that type of 50-50 play. It probably was truly about a 50-50, 60-40 play. So, but they punted it down to the inch line. That probably changes something with 1 minute left, 1:20 or whatever it was, to the inch line, but slid and just touched the goal line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, if he didn't touch that, if he didn't slide, it would have landed. It would have landed, I think, in front of the goal line. I mean, that was one of the biggest plays of the game, and you wouldn't even think about it. The fact that guy downed it. Unbelievable.
That's what Harbaugh's thinking, though. Like, it literally, like, almost went to perfection because now you're inch line, no timeouts. Like, they got to go a long way against a pretty good defense. They know Josh is cooking, but they probably like that more than they do a 50-50 play to win or lose. Like, that is like going for it for 2 when you're down 1 in the end of a game. That's the same kind of call. So, I mean, maybe Detroit does that, but it's cost them. So it's a tough. I get where he's coming from, but you have Lamar in this game flow in a 40-40 game. You got to go for it. In a game where it's 21-20, I don't know. Like I'm not. But look, 50-50. I was rooting for him to go because I thought if we stop him, we win. One final stop and the defense had finally started playing good. Finally, I was like one stop to win. I think it would have been cool either way to see how that would have played out. But they're playing the results totally. If that ball's down at the inch line, like Z-Bot says, and we can't get out of our own end zone, or we get stopped at the 50 on a Hail Mary or something, it worked.
So it's easy to be critical about the defense, right? Because, of course, like we see Derrick Henry go for practically 2 football fields on us, like once again. Like, you know, it's a regular season tradition, it appears. But did y'all notice anything different about this defense compared to 2024? From my perspective, like what I've realized is that, like Kev mentioned, we were able to stop them 3 times in a row. And then when I reflect back in the season, and one of the most common complaints about this defense was they could have solid games, but in very important downs, they don't deliver. I feel like in all of the important downs, like they needed to make a play, they did. That was including Oliver, obviously. I thought Bosa had some really good splashes as well. Like Kev said with Dorian Strong, did his thing too. But should we make a final conclusion on the 2025 Buffalo Bills defense off of 1 week? Because say that you were to ask most of Bills Mafia, they're like, oh, it's the same shit defense. Go out and like sign like $40 million worth of players and bring them on in here. Like, what are y'all's final takeaways from this defense, or is it too early to have an answer, Jake?
I think it's too early to have an answer just based off of 1 week. I think going up against the Baltimore Ravens week 1, that's that measuring stick that we've talked about. Highly explosive, high-octane offense, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry in the backfield. I mean, that's tough to stop, tough to even slow down. The Buffalo Bills, they had problems doing that pretty much all night long. But when it came down to crunch time towards the end of the game, they force a turnover, they get possession of the ball back, and that's huge. That's huge to be able to do that. Personally, I thought the defense did get bullied a little bit in this game. I mean, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, like that's tough. But the competition, that's the standard that you're trying to live up to in playoff football. So we're going to get more tests like this in the future throughout the regular season. We're going to see the team go up against some weaker competition here over the next few weeks. So I think we need to see a balance throughout the schedule, see more from the defense and how they play against other teams before we make a full-gone conclusion based off of one game.
So the one trend that has remained consistent, at least through 1 week, is that the Bills love to just like make us sweat and then start playing football in the second half of the game. I feel like that's just something that Sean McDermott and company wants to do. Started off great. We end up holding the Ravens to a field goal right in their first attempt. We marched down the field with ease. And then it's just normal Buffalo Bills first half football. Let's give these people a show, perhaps a heart attack, but let them leave with a smile. Z, thoughts on the defense? Obviously frustrating for most of the game, but have you drawn a final conclusion on this unit, or do you still need to see more?
Well, it was beyond frustrating. Here's the reality. If the Bills lose that game by 15 or by 2, we're sitting on here ripping this defense to shreds instead of talking about one of the greatest games we've ever seen. I mean, that's just the reality. The defense did not play well. Derrick Henry did whatever he wanted against him. Lamar Jackson had over 200 yards on 14 completions. I mean, you have Derrick Henry going for 10 yards a clip. You have Lamar Jackson running for 70 yards on hardly any attempts. And then how many broken plays with Zay Flowers? Oh, hey, Zay Flowers, have the entire field here. We'll serve it up on a silver platter. Go ahead and do whatever you want. He had a career high before the end of the third quarter. I say all that to say that this Bills defense was starkly similar to that of last year. And why is that? Well, they bent but didn't break. I mean, they were this close to getting absolutely completely shredded, right? They're down to their final thread before the full thing is broken. But what did they do? They made the one play. This defense, time and time again, even though they have had their struggles in a variety of areas, what have they been better than any other defense in the league at? Forcing turnovers. And when you combine that with the Buffalo Bills' newfound ability to not turn the ball over, that was the ultimate difference. The Bills turned it over 0 times. The Ravens turned it over once in the most crucial portion of the game. And not only was it just a turnover, it was a beautifully forced turnover. You go back to the divisional game last year, you can look at it and say, yeah, Lamar Jackson fumbled when Von Miller was up in his face, but he really just kind of dropped that ball. I mean, Von Miller didn't knock it out like Ed Oliver did. Ed Oliver made a world-class play. So for as bad as the defense looked for maybe 90% of that game yesterday, Kevin mentioned it at the top. The Bills have never stopped an elite quarterback like that recently here on 3 consecutive drives. They did that in the most pivotal point of the game, plus forcing that fumble. They're similar to the fact that last year, this team basically carried off right where they left off. You had 30-plus points again. You had no turnovers from Josh Allen in the offense. You allowed 1 sack. And the defense, they bend but don't break. They force a turnover. The team had the best turnover differential in the league last year. This team forced 30 turnovers. And in a game where they desperately needed one from a defense that was getting walked on, they made the play. So I'm not going to make a grand conclusion on the whole year, but my conclusion after one game is it looked awfully similar to that of last year, whether that's good or bad.
What are your thoughts on that, Kev?
I mean, the defense, here's where the defense gets back. So this is why it's different. To kind of couple off of Z-Bot's point, they just got rolled when they played week 4. And everybody, we saw pretty much through 3 quarters, through 2.5 quarters, whatever you want to say. This is just week 4. I mean, my timeline was littered with this is just week 4. It's just whatever. Maybe in the playoffs it'll be different, but week 4 this is the same thing. But it wasn't, because here's what's different. By the end of the team got better. Yes, Derrick Henry had 1 run in the second half. Other than that, they didn't do a whole lot on the ground. I mean, Lamar had to make a MVP type of play himself, where his line got blown up by the good Bills defensive line. Really, the Bills D line was better than it seemed in this game. It was a really, really good performance by the Bills D line. Interior was good. Joey Bosa is a much needed upgrade. He's playing full snaps. You know, he's not this Von Miller third down rush specialist that's winning against bad tackles in the week 8 of the Jets game. You're talking about a guy that's getting huge minutes against pretty solid level tackles. And ultimately, we need to see the coverage be a little bit better, but they were in such stress in this game. And a lot of things went right for the Ravens on offense. They schemed up a lot of good stuff, but the Bills defense will get better as the season goes on. This is why this game's kind of a tough one week 1, that I really feel strongly about how well the defense will come together, as you have a lot of first and second year guys. Whereas last year we just had old guys. We just had Rasul Douglas. We just had DeMar Hamlin. I mean, I think that and then you have Dorian Strong this year, and you have Cole Bishop. and you have Matt Milano back, and it's only going to get better from here. And you're not going to play the number like the super team. You saw the PFF scores all the time. Number 1 safety, number 1 linebacker, number 1 left tackle. Like literally it was kind of funny to see that the level of their talent. And there's some concerning play in there. The outside toss, crack toss. I mean, come on, that's like football 101. But Derrick Henry can get got in the backfield, but once he has a head of steam, I just don't know who's getting him. So they need to stop that from happening. But McDermott schemes up something in the playoffs every year against it. They were clearly playing a style of football to figure it out. Guys, this is week 1. I got to see it against a decent offense in Justin Fields and the Jets. Their defense is a mess, but I want to see what the Jets come out and look like because they have a light version with Justin Fields and Breece Hall. So I want to see like not as quite of good of talent. And really they have like a Jets light is like the offensive light of the Ravens.
Gotta tell you what, man, I am hungry for some more Bills football, but not nearly as hungry as I am for a taste of some Buffalo pizza. Let's talk about Picasso's Pizza, folks. Best pizza in Buffalo, New York, hands down. Several locations in Western New York. If you are not located in their area, have no fear. They are mailing pizza to your front doorstep as long as you end up going to their website, PicassoPizza.net. You hit that yellow nationwide shipping button and you could have their pizza right on your front doorstep. Throw in the oven and have a taste of home. Works great for gifts. Works great for any of you that just are in desperate need of some quality pizza. For myself, I'm in Florida and the pizza game sucks down here. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I need to hit up Picasso's to get a quality taste of what pizza should be. I just keep looking at this. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe when I look at images like this. 40-25 with 4 minutes and 5 seconds to go to a final score of 41-40. And so did y'all see that Joey Bosa interview too in the locker room?
Yeah, that's great.
Dude, like bro, like was acting like he just met his firstborn child, like right in the labor room. Like that guy's energy was just next level, being like, wow, I've never experienced anything like this. I feel like that man's bought into this program, dude. He is bought in. He loves this city. He loves this team. And I feel like the sky's the limit for him. I really do.
Yeah, that doubles down on what I had thought when they signed him. As soon as he started talking about the ducks in his backyard, I'm like, this dude just needed to get out of LA. Like, he just seems
that hellhole, bro.
Yeah, he just seems so at peace being in a city where you can be a human being, I think, more than you can be in a lot of other cities. There's something to be said about being in a massive city or being in a city like Buffalo where it's primarily suburbs. These guys aren't living in the city of Buffalo, right? You are living in, suburban America, and these guys are just normal guys most of their time while instead of being while they're not on the football field, right? And then you see last night, what's he say? He goes, too bad it wasn't the Super Bowl, even though it felt like it was. I mean, this guy was elated to not only have gotten the win, but to be a part of that whole atmosphere and everything. And you go back to when he said that he had not hung out with guys like this in the entire time he was in LA compared to the 3 weeks he was in Buffalo. I completely agree with you, Dan. He's bought in. This is why I think that the sky is the limit for him. I know early on he bid on Lamar's fake 1 or 2 times more than you'd like, but as the game went on, you could start to see he was getting his wheels underneath of him, and I'm really excited to have him in Buffalo for sure.
And some better men have, dude. And better men have bought in on that Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
right?
No doubt.
And plus, so I get it. And I got to tell you, man, my live chat was toxic last night.
I believe it.
Like, I had someone say that we needed to call Ken Dorsey and bring him back. Like, that was that one drive where Joe Brady had 3 straight runs. I was like, okay, guys, all right, let's put down the booze a little bit. And so I know that the emotions are going insane right now, but I would be lying if I didn't tell you how good it felt like when I saw all of the Ravens fans fan out snap disappear. As soon as when that fumble happened, I think even they knew it. I feel like even they knew it. What about that kid that pushed DeAndre Hopkins and then Lamar Jackson shoved him? He's now banned from all Bills games forever. Banned from all Bills games forever. Probably shouldn't touch players. Look, I'm pissed off too. All right. If I was sitting there, I'd probably be pretty pissed off. And Jake's like, damn it, Dan, that was me. I blamed it on somebody else. What do you But Jake, I'm curious to hear from you, man. Like, what was the energy like from the time when it was 40-25 at the 4-minute mark, all the way up until the finale. Like, what was the trajectory? What was like your best way of explaining it?
It was an up and down wave, man. Up and down wave. Like this is right from the very get-go, honestly. Like once you get into the stadium, the atmosphere, everyone knows this is the final season opener at Highmark Stadium, the current venue, and just the atmosphere, it was electric. The Bills go down, they score a touchdown on their opening drive. Everything is good. The vibes are high. You hold the Ravens to a field goal on their opening drive. Things are going well. And then you kind of feel a shift starting to happen. Things are starting to slow down. And then when we get to the fourth quarter, it's just like the Ravens have been beating the Bills down. Things were going bad. You're down by 15 points. So the odds are really stacked up against you. Not only do you have to get 2 touchdowns, you need a 2-point conversion as well. And the Bills, they were struggling to get those 2-point conversions throughout the night. But everyone, like the Bills fans were leaving. The Bills fans were leaving with 15 minutes. Not all Bills fans, but there were a good chunk of Bills fans. Like that stadium, I haven't seen it that empty for a big-time regular season game like this ever. And then things just flipped. The energy, it goes from all the way down, all the way up, supercharged. It's crazy. It's like watching your phone on a power charger because it just goes up all the way. It was amazing. And then Mr. Brightside, I'm not sure if you all saw the Mr. Brightside stuff, but Mr. Brightside, it's usually played when the Bills are typically leading late in the fourth quarter. That was not the case in this game. It came all the way down to the final final play of the game. Right after Prater puts it through the uprights, Mr. Brightside, blast on the speakers, absolutely electric. Man, amazing atmosphere. I can't wait to be back. Can't wait to be back there for the next one.
Why didn't I go? Why didn't I go?
Well, we get to go and watch that absolute beatdown of Tua in a little over a week here. So just you wait, man. Just you wait.
You're right. And people thought I was a madman when I said that Daniel Jones is about to slice and dice that secondary, man. Listen, I would argue that before the Sunday night game that Daniel Jones was clearly in the lead for the MVP conversation.
You're not wrong.
Funny enough. I'm just kidding. I'm overreacting. I just hate the Dolphins, and I love seeing their pain. Last thing, like right before I get into it, a big trend, at least in my live chat earlier this morning, like people are like done with Cole Bishop. Whether or not that had to do with him getting memed once again, like now we have 2 Bills players memed thanks to Derrick Henry with the stiff arm. Many people are like, Dan, was this enough for Buffalo to say, nah, we need Jabril Peppers. Bring him into this organization. Cole Bishop isn't that guy. My question is, obviously, he had a pretty embarrassing play. Kev, was the film as bad as the broadcast suggested from Cole Bishop?
No, definitely not. Like he is actually better than Rat, believe it or not. Based on the film. At this reactionary, like, I mean, Derrick Henry's gonna put a lot of people into the shadow realm. And that's in a DB situation, like that's not where you're supposed to win against Derrick Henry one-on-one. That's why teams run. They were trying to say it all night. Chris Collinsworth. That's why you run too high, not just to stop Lamar, but you have 2 people to help bring down Derrick Henry when he gets to the second level. No one person's going to bring. He's 205 or whatever Cole Bishop is. Like that's not where he's supposed to win. The Bills are actually the blitz the famous blitz that we've seen. Where he's like 30 yards away. That's a run blitz. Like people don't realize that that's not to stop Lamar Jackson in the backfield for a sack. That is to see if Lamar scrambles, which he was. Like I wanted that blitz on that 3rd down play that he broke for the 1st down. Like if we had that blitz called, Cole Bishop brings down Lamar Jackson. So that's really where like they're not sending it. That's an exclusive blitz beater to make sure that when he breaks contain, you now have to beat a DB right in your face on a blitz. He just happened to get it away to Zay Flowers. He was the only one, like, just happened to run the right route in that situation. He was the only one not covered in terms of they just didn't have the right back end coverage. But to me, like, he was just a step away from making big plays in that game. They called the blitz in certain situations and not the others for him, and it just didn't look great. But the film does show that he had a decent game. Literally, he had a fairly decent game. You know where he was good, guys? In coverage. So that's the one thing that I was hoping to see. is that he was actually really good in coverage. We couldn't notice it because of some, they were running the ball pretty heavily, but he was pretty good in coverage. And to me, Rap struggled a little bit. And that's going to be a concern for this team, is like what's going to happen with the safety play. But I think that you don't give up on Cole Bishop. You could certainly bring in Jabril Peppers as a third safety. And if things get real bad against the Dolphins and the Saints, then, you make the move. But Cole Bishop is definitely a guy they're going to give. And it's by all accounts Strong as well. Like Dorian Strong was actually a really good run defender in this game. And he's going to get and so is Christian Benford. Was one of the best run defenders of the night. So some of the film coming out on Christian Benford's run D was really good. So hopefully, Dorian Strong's going to get at least 4 weeks. I think Trey White's going to go to backup corner even when he comes back. Dorian Strong's going to get the weeks until if and when Hairston takes a job from him, if that even happens. So I think they're all in on Bishop and Strong, and they're going to hope for better days against backups of the Jets or whomever are they even running out at the second receiver? I know they have Garrett Wilson, but we don't even know who they're running out. Like they're kind of doing a rotation at their second receiver spot right now. So we'll see how that all turns out for them. But that's the ultimate goal, is that they're going to run with these young guys. That's the whole point of how it's different than last year, to your point earlier of the question on, is it the same thing? They're just going to hope that he can cover Josh Reynolds and that's not going to be an issue.
Man, so if you are a first round projected cornerback, watch out, because somehow, some way, a 5th or 6th rounder is going to be taking your job for the foreseeable future. Stay as healthy as humanly possible. But all right, guys, let's go ahead and just give our final thoughts. So the Buffalo Bills have the New York Jets coming up. We will unpack that ad nauseum on Thursday. Sort of a Baltimore Ravens light. Who knows if the Jets just ended up rolling off with that new energy of a new head coach, new time in New York. Maybe we'll see that same team, or maybe we'll see the same old Jets. We'll save that for Thursday. Kevin, final thoughts before we send these folks off on their beautiful victory Monday.
I think you said it best. They also let up 40 plus points. It's supposed to be one of the best defenses in the league. They weren't able to do anything to stop Josh Allen in this game. The Bills originally came with a game plan to run the clock. They ran them with the Mahomes game plan in this, and it didn't quite work because of that 3 straight runs that Josh checked into in the second drive. But that was the whole game plan. Was let's limit the possessions. Let's get out of here. No injuries. Let's see if we can try to get a W. See if we can get them to turn the ball over. Obviously, that's why they had to switch their game plan really in the second half. But really a 0.26 EPA per play. Josh Allen had a 0.4 EPA per play. They did nothing to slow down this offense. 0.65 EPA per play from Keon Coleman. 0.65 points added every single play. It's astronomical. That's wide receiver 1 levels. That's Jamar Chase numbers. Josh Palmer 0.54. So in other words, the Bills offense, regardless if you think they had a lull in the second quarter or not, played super well. And this offense will do damage to not teams that aren't the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm excited to unpack the Jets game because they're just not going to have the talent, in my opinion, to keep up with that style of offense. But House of Horrors down there in New York, though, they always seem to struggle at times in that game.
Damn. Z-Bot, what do you got, man?
Well, hey, shout out to the Jets. Before the Bills-Ravens put on the show of the century, that was the game of the day. Pittsburgh, New York. I can't believe the Jets scored 32 points and lost. I can't believe they scored 32 points, to be 100% honest with you. I thought Justin Fields looked good. Aaron Rodgers was just a bit better, and they also had a couple dashes of luck go their way, too. That was a crazy, crazy game. And I'm excited about that one. I'm actually going to that game. I live down near here, so I'll be at that game, and I'm excited about that one. But I'm going to be basking in this one for a couple more days here. You have to. That was that type of game where you really just got to revel in what you witnessed. Even if you weren't a Bills fan, I think everybody is thinking about that game today. You know damn well Ravens fans are. And I said last night, listen, I know the feeling. Believe me, I know what you guys are going through right now. We have been in very similar circumstances. It is not an easy way to fall asleep after watching that one. That's why it was so nice the Bills were on the right end of it. You couldn't have started the year off better. The game, the way it was billed, fellas, it was billed to be, one of the games of the year in week 1. And when you surpass expectations like that as substantially as they did, you really have to put out an all-time performance. That's what we witnessed. What a hell of a game. What a way to kick things off. And here's the other thing, guys, by the way, and I know it's week 1. The Bengals did not look good. The Chiefs did not look good. Some of the better teams in the league, the Lions looked awful. The Texans couldn't score. New England, the second half, where the hell were they? They completely disappeared. They had my ass fooled. I know Kevin called me out on it, rightfully so. I'm watching the first half. I'm like, Drake May looks good. What's going on here? They couldn't score another point the rest of the way. I say all this to say, last night was massive. With the schedule the Bills have coming up, with the Ravens having to get into that bulk of the AFC North schedule, last night could be a major, major tipping point months from now. I know it's only week 1, but that's how big that game was. And they got it done in a way no one thought they could. So couldn't be happier today celebrating a W.
And so the Ravens also have the NFC North as well.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule.
Yeah, it's tough. Meanwhile, we have the NFC South. And
I know.
AFC East.
I know.
And that looks like a struggling. And so it looks like a struggling Chiefs team who's probably going to be making a trade for Tyreek Hill at any moment. But Jake, what do you got, man? How you doing? Final words to the Mafia before we send them off.
Yeah, I felt, amazing game, huge in terms of potential seeding for the playoff outcome. But overall, this was just a roller coaster of emotions, and just so up and down and back up, and we're finishing on a high note, which is exactly what you want. You don't want that heartbreaking, devastating loss coming in week 1 especially. I feel like the Ravens are a team that came in fuel. Obviously, they go back to just in January. They fell short in the divisional round. They felt that they were one play away from tying that game up. A couple bounces here and there could have gone in their favor. But the Buffalo Bills, despite all that extra fire that the Ravens came into this game with, they were able to come together as a team and just put out an amazing effort when it looked like they were down, but they were never out of this game. And that's exactly what you're looking for, that team to come together as a close, tight-knit unit in week 1 especially. I think that's just setting this team up for a trajectory upwards throughout the remainder of the season. Great start to the season. And next week, New Jersey, I'll see you down there.
Folks, we appreciate you for tuning in and making the Bills Roundtable a part of your daily routine, Mondays and Thursdays. Do us a favor, hit that thumbs up sign, subscribe, turn on bell notifications. Those of you that tuned in on the replay, have those bell notifications turned on so you can tap in with us live next time. Thank you so much. Happy Victory Monday, and go Bills.
Go Bills.